Well, this video is just about what's been happening in the garden over July. Most things were very slow to grow because of the very dry April and the cold, wet May. But since then, everything has done really, really well. Oh, yellow flag looking nice by the pond. They don't last very long. Honeysuckle. Beautiful scent in the evening, but a lot more flowers to come yet. This is just the first of them. Yes, wonderful. Clematis. Again, lots more flowers to come. But it's always nice to see the first of them. A big splash of colour. Yeah. Boston ivy gradually creeping up the wall where I chopped it all off. And this is this wildflower meadow bit ablaze with bird's foot trefoil. You can smell it. Lots of little bees on it, lots of bumblebees. And the top border here is the oxeye daisy. It predominated last year, it was everywhere, but it's just along this border now. What's making that noise? Still hear it. Have to go and have a look. One of the big problems with wildflower meadows is keeping out coarse grasses. And this here it's this Yorkshire fog, but with the increase of yellow rattle, which is a grass parasite, hopefully we can keep the Yorkshire fog down a little bit. But nevertheless, it seems this year seems particularly bad. There's a lot more yellow rattle this year, which is what you want. Keep down these coarse grasses. Well, there's more growth on the weeping ash tree than I thought there was going to be. But I don't think it will recover fully. But you never know. We just have to wait and see. This is a bit of the garden I just let run riot. It is running riot. This is hogweed. It's absolutely enormous this year, 6 feet high. It's not the giant hogweed, which is even bigger still. The brambles grow about a foot a week. Take the tips off. Otherwise these things end up about 10 feet long. You can see it on these, this one better, even better. And with that wet weather in May. Now we've got some warm weather. The trees have done exceptionally well this year, or are doing exceptionally well. Even the red oak, here's one here, which is normally doesn't do well at all. For some reason this year it's put a spurt on, which is pleasing. There's a funny little bee here, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know what kind of bee it is. I'll look it up when I get in. It's quite unusual. And that's one of the new lime trees I've put in, which seems to be doing quite well. Unfortunately, not all our red oaks do well. This one every year ends up with this problem. And I'm never sure what it is, whether it's a rust or whether it's a deficiency in the mineral salts. But despite mulching it and fertilising it and over the years, this reappears. Nevertheless, it comes back every year. To my amazement. But obviously it doesn't put on very much growth. Yeah. Some of these lower hazel branches have been cut right across the path, so I'm going to have to trim them back a little bit. Not a very difficult thing to do, easy to do. Yeah, there's maple trees, a bloody woodpecker. Belts a little hole in a tree so it can jam a nut in. Hazelnut. And pecking it to open it. But hopefully the tree will recover. But it's on several, it does it on several. For some reason, one hole isn't enough. Yeah, little assortment of bunny snails here on this oak tree. Yeah, some of them don't have any buds on at all. Oh, tens of thousands of them. Well, the job of the day is to cut these hedges while the wood is still soft. Easy to take away then. And it shouldn't be as difficult as usual because I took about 2 feet off the top of these hedges, so that the tops are much easier to reach now. But carting it all away will be just as difficult as ever. The rhubarb this year is enormous. Something has been rampaging through the strawberry patch. The strawberries are all beginning to ripen. So put a net over them before they all disappear. Although there's a lot more to come yet. Yeah, there's the beetroot. There'll be enough there. Well, that first row doesn't look very good. There's the asparagus. It doesn't take it long. Some which they, I think 8 feet high. These little tiny flowers. But this year, underneath it, a great mass of weeds, far more than you'd normally get. But they won't take much pulling out those. And this is a bit I sowed with these wildflowers. Lots of things appearing, amongst them some potatoes from 2 years ago. But we'll see what emerges. This is the Brownlee cooking apple. And when you get doubles like this, I normally take the weaker apple off. Just leave the one. Oh, there we are. First strawberries of the season. Really nice. Well, the hedge is all nicely trimmed. It took 2 days. Oh, just steady away. Once you've cut the hedges, you've got to get rid of all this stuff. Piles of it all over the garden there. And cart it all the way up to the top of the garden, put it on the bonfire for later. Well, it's the summer solstice, the 21st of June, and it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and that says 10.5 degrees Celsius. It's absolutely freezing cold out there. That's ridiculous. And of course, the days begin to get shorter now, which is pretty depressing thought. Well, a monumental pile of stuff. But the wind is in the right direction today, coming from the northeast, to get rid of it. Well, there we are, that's the last of it. Well, that fertiliser I put in this front lawn, which kills the moss, kills the weeds and greens the grass, seems to have worked an absolute treat. It's lavender. It smells beautifully. As does the honeysuckle. The plum tree is absolutely heaving with them. They'll have to be thinned out, these. There's far too many. Otherwise this branch is going to fall off and snap. There's thousands of them. And they're hanging out like bunches of grapes. This is the bay tree. It's enormous. Enough bay leaves there for the whole of Yorkshire. That's the rosemary. Again. big. This is a pear tree. It starts off well and then for some reason or other it gets this sort of yellowing with black spots. Now whether it's a fungal disease or whether it's a nutritional deficiency in the soil, I don't know, but the whole plant never looks healthy. You get masses of blossom but very few pears. So far there are 6. How many of those will mature I have no idea. Last year I got 2. And the green gage never does very well either. The foliage, yeah, this yellowing of the foliage, again I think it's a mineral deficiency in the soil. But whatever it is, it doesn't like it. So you get lots of these little dead twigs and very few fruit. This year there's about 20. Anyway, having sprayed the rowan tree for whatever that insect was on it, the new foliage shows no sign of it at all. You can see the old foliage there with that curled leaf. But the new foliage is as you would expect. Beetroot seems to be coming on alright. There's enough there for me. And the rhubarb continues to go ballistic. As does the asparagus. Lots of little flowers on here. The bees love it, but for some reason there aren't as many bees about this year. Probably that cold, wet May certainly didn't help. And these are the wild flowers which I sowed. Two different packets. And they're totally different. That lot there. And this lot here. Yeah, trying to keep the weeds down. I pull a few out every time I come out. But it's a never-ending battle. And there are lots of strawberries, which I've had to net to keep the birds off. Otherwise you don't get any at all. Well, the weeping ash tree has done a lot better than I thought. Maybe it will make a recovery, who knows. I don't know whether ash trees can recover from ash dieback, but anyway, this year's looking even better than last year. And this is the wild part of the garden. I just let this grow. Food for insect larvae. I'll try and keep these thistles down. And the major problem here is goosegrass, cleavers as it's sometimes called. You pull it out all the time, it still reappears. And these little hooks it's got on, sticks to your clothes. So I've cut all these long leaders on the bramble. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of flowers. So there should be a fair number of brambles this year. Should be nice. But you really have to keep this thing under control. Otherwise it takes over the whole place very, very quickly. And I've been up the tunnel of hazel and cut off all the branches that are protruding into your face, so it's much easier to walk through now. There's two of these butterflies, but I don't know what they are. It's the first time I've seen them in the garden. And the trees all seem to be going very well. Even these red oak, which usually I find it all a bit of a struggle for some reason. Although that one looks decidedly yellow, a bit anemic. And everywhere are the seed heads of this flower, which opens up in the morning early on, and then for the rest of the day it's closed. There you can see the seed heads. Yeah, quite, and the flowers in fact. They're a magnificent sight. What an amazing structure that is. That thing there. One of the problems at this time of year is long coarse grasses, these tall coarse grasses begin to collapse all over the path. So I have to come along with a lawnmower and give them a haircut. It's alright today because it's dry, but when it's wet you get soaked from the knees down over. Fortunately, here's another bird being torn apart. That's a great shame. I sometimes wonder why you go to all that trouble to attract birds into your garden when all your neighbours let their cats out. There's some road all over the place, killing everything you can come across. Yeah. A couple of teasel. Keep my eye on them. I don't want them seeding all over the place, otherwise, again, they just take over. And this is a maple tree, which has obviously got something wrong with it. You often wonder why some trees suffer from it, and yet just behind it, planted at the same time, are these massive maple trees, looking totally healthy. And three of them have gone the same way as this, struggle on from one year to the next, but eventually they will succumb to whatever it is they've got. Here we have a large Viper's bugloss. Appeared from nowhere. There was some last year, but this is a particularly big specimen. I do like them. I think the flowers are lovely. I mean, it looks like a garden escape, but it isn't. There are 11 flower stems, bees on them. Very quick from flower to flower. This is a sort of wilderness area which I don't exactly leave, but I keep it under control. See, there's nettles there, and over there there's hogweed, and there's some thistles. It's for insect larvae, particularly butterflies and moths. But as I say, I had a sort of wilderness in inverted commas. Yeah, better idea of the weeping ash tree from here. Well, just keep my fingers crossed that it survives. And this yellow rattle developing these seed pods with these loose seeds in, which rattle when you shake it, which is how it comes to get the name. Anyway, hopefully it will spread, keep these rank grasses under control, it being a parasite of grasses. And here is a ceanothus, which is again had a difficult time. It doesn't like cold, so if you get a frost early in the season it just kills it. But this one has struggled through just. Interesting banded snail there. Well, the mason bees have been busy. Every tube is blocked with mud except one. That one there. Let's have a quick look and see what's inside. You can see where the wasps have been scraping off wood to make their paper nests. You can see all the tubes packed with pollen and mud and larvae for next year. So I haven't cut this because it's a great mass of bird's foot trefoil, and the bees love it, and hopefully the moths like it too. Because last year wasn't a very good year for moths. And here you can see a couple of bees whizzing about. A little touch of nectar from each flower. It's lovely sound they make. This one's carrying great big pollen baskets. Must be about ready to go back to the nest with all that pollen. Hey, what a life. You see if we can pick out some different bees. There's that one. So pale brown thorax. It's distinct red bum, from which I think it gets its name. Well, these are the two areas of wildflowers or meadow flowers which I planted out. Well, this is late scented stock. It's just beginning to go over. It's not particularly a spectacular plant, but it does produce a lovely scent in the evenings. And this area is a different mix. I see a fair number of marigolds, but what the rest are, I don't know. We'll just have to wait for them to flower. The major problem here is keeping the weeds down. Anyway, hopefully these next scented flowers will attract more moths. And the honeysuckle is out at the moment as well, so maybe we'll have a bit more success for the moth trap later in the week. But, the weather forecast isn't exactly brilliant. Heavy rain is forecast. And lots of bees on the asparagus flowers with this bright orangey red pollen. It's difficult to get near them. They don't stop for very long. Oh, lovely colour. That's a honeybee. Oh, there's the beetroot. Not very much of it, but enough for me. Lots of leaves, not much in the way of root at the moment, but hopefully they'll fill out. So it comes every year. You collect the seeds, you spread them all over everything, but you never get another one. And masses of this lady's bedstraw has appeared this year as well. When it's sort of lime green or yellow flowers. It's very, very picturesque. It's got that nice feathery foliage as well. Yellow rat will come to the end of its flowering. Hopefully these seeds will increase its number, keep this rank grass down. Flowers this year as well, so they should do well. Funny enough, there's no bees on here. Usually quite a lot of bees. I suppose I've got so many alternative flowers to go at. Once they get fixed on a flower, they tend to stick to it. Yeah, lots and lots of nuts. Yeah. Nice for small mammals. And woodpeckers. Yeah, I've got to take hundreds of plums off this plum tree before the branches start breaking. You'll need a bit of a gale and they very easily crack off. So I've removed about half of them. I'll probably have to take some more off later. Well, this video exceeds 4 gigabytes, which is the maximum Google Chrome will allow you to upload at any one time. So I've had to divide it into 2. So this is the end of part 1.